Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user It Was Midnight Suns May. Am I the a-hole for my response to my boyfriend's ultimatum over audiobooks? My boyfriend and I have been together for around 3 years, and we've had a pretty easygoing relationship, no big fights or anything, until now, which is why I'm questioning myself so much. So, I listen to audiobooks, not erotic ones, though I do partake in audio-only smut sometimes, because as it becomes important later, I have a thing for nice voices. But somehow, someone just reading smut of a page feels weird for me to listen to. No judgment to anyone else, of course, just not my thing. My boyfriend has recently gotten a bug up his ass about me listening to them, especially when he's home, even though I always use headphones and do my best not to disturb him. Also, before anyone says it, my Audible account comes directly out of my own bank account. He has no reason to think it will affect his finances. Anyway, he only ever gave little snide remarks until the last time, so I let it go. Most recently, I had been making us dinner and cleaning up behind myself as I did it, and because he was playing video games and I get bored doing those kinds of things without something else to think about, I turned on my favorite audiobook and picked up where I had been listening the week before. I didn't realize he was in the kitchen until he jerked the cord on my headphones and asked if I was doing it again. I asked what he was talking about and he just sighed and said that he needed to talk to me. We sat down and I'll admit I was pretty pissed he had jerked on my headphones and not super willing to listen to anything right then. Another reason I might be an a-hole. He said that it really bothered him when I listened to audiobooks from a man's perspective, because he knows about my voice thing and that it makes him uncomfortable. I asked why, and he said that he couldn't get it out of his head that I was thinking sexual things about the characters, and that all along with the romantic elements made him really upset and felt almost like I wasn't fully committed to him. I asked if he realized I was listening to a book for teens written by a literal Mormon and that none of the books I listened to have smut. He said that it didn't matter and started getting angry again, which just made me angrier, and he dropped the ultimatum that he wanted me to stop or else we would need to break up. I was so pissed at this point that I just shrugged and said gladly, the minute you stop watching smut, I'll never touch any of it again. This pissed him off because he claimed he never said anything about smut, only the romantic and sexual parts of the book I listened to. I said that if he was allowed to make ultimatums of favorite pastimes, why can't I? Then I asked if he would rather give up video games, since that's closer to what audiobooks mean to me. He ended up just saying, effing forget it, and went to bed, but has been pissed at me since. I talked to my friends about the situation and got mixed answers, so I wanted to try with strangers as well. Well, OP, personally, no, I don't think you're an a-hole for this. You enjoy the audiobooks. I mean, sure, okay, you have a thing for voices, but then why does he watch smut? He's got a thing for images. Him demanding that you stop listening to the books because he's jealous of the voices in there is ridiculous. And his threat of either you stop listening or you break up, it's incredibly manipulative and controlling. I wouldn't stand for it at all. You might feel that because it's a 3-year relationship, you guys live together and all that, it might be too much to break up, but that would be the sunk cost fallacy. I think you need to sit down with him and properly talk this thing through. Is he really willing to break up with you just because you listen to audiobooks? Is there something else going on behind? Like, what is it truly? Because he can't be jealous of voices. That, again, is ridiculous. And what do you guys think about OP's situation? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Wailing Wonder says, he's crazy and anyone that tells you otherwise is crazy. You were cooking and cleaning while he was playing. If he's so insecure about a random guy reading a book, then maybe he could have been in there working on dinner with you. You were being neglected, so of course you got bored. Note, sure, it's okay for one person to work while the other chills as long as it's not always the same person and as long as it works for the relationship. He could have kept you company. He could have been the voice in your ear. He could have fought his insecurity by coming up behind you and kissing your neck and taking your mind off the book. Something sexy. But he decided that the best choice was to be as unsexy as possible and aggressively jerk your headphones and whine. You can see the red flags, right, OP? You don't need us, right? Not the a-hole. And OP responds, I usually cook for us. He can't cook worth a damn and I enjoy it, so I do that. He does other chores though. I hate doing anything in the bathroom, but he doesn't mind, so anything to do with that is his. And he takes care of the garbage and the car. I mostly handle anything in the kitchen and laundry and such. I wish he would do something like that, haha. But he's just not spontaneous or really romantic. I don't mind it really, most guys aren't, and he's great in other aspects. When it comes to red flags, I don't think of it in that way, but I can tell you it certainly made my temper spike in a way it hasn't since I was in high school. Behelsi says, this is a big red flag, to me. Is he so insecure that he can't stand the idea of you listening to gasp another man? You weren't even listening to anything provocative when he did this, and he had that kind of reaction. Where is all his anger coming from? The fact that he dropped an ultimatum? Books, for F's sake, or breaking up is insane to me. This seems like such an odd thing for him to want to have control over. You're wearing headphones, not listening to it on speakerphone, and you're minding your own business, and he has the audacity to be upset you're doing that. Personally, I would cut ties, but if you feel like he's a good partner to you in other aspects and he isn't controlling about other things you do, just what you wear, who you hang out with, etc., then maybe try talking it out when he's calm. And OP responds, he did try to explain that he felt as if I reacted to the romantic parts in ways I don't react to him, which almost made sense. But then all I can think is, yeah, of course I do. This kind of romantic thing doesn't exist in real life, and I don't expect it to. But to hear about it is enough to make me blush or laugh because it's cute. I've never expected him to be an over-the-top romantic. I don't think I would enjoy it in real life. It would more than likely overwhelm me. But I do like to hear about it, I guess. This part does make me feel a little bit bad because at the time I was so angry about the headphone pulling. I don't know why it set me off so bad. Because it's rude. No one has ever done it to me before, but for some reason it had me pissed. I couldn't even react to it like I should have. I honestly maybe should have asked him to wait, the more I think about it. And SparksGirl1223 says, he's weirdly hung up on this voice thing. Pleasant voices are soothing, relaxing, etc. It's not like you stopped cooking dinner to masquerade spread eagle on the counter while moaning the narrator's voice. Sheesh, I feel your ultimatum is fair. Anywho, let's get to the important part. What author are you talking about? And OP responds, the Midnight Sun audiobook, and I know, Twilight in 2024, but Jake Abel pulls off making Edward both a scary 100-year-old vampire and an eternally teenage boy in love, and it's fun. I love it. I don't care if it's bad. I adored the original series when I was younger, and then this one dropped and New Moon stopped being my favorite of the series. Alright, well, the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole and that she might want to take a look at the relationship a little bit closer because apparently there are some red flags. And also, we know what the book was and it was Twilight. Anyways, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. So, it's been 2 months since my original post. I didn't think I would update because the original update would have been mostly us talking and working things out, agreeing that whenever he felt insecure, he could tell me. And I could focus my attention on him for a while. It worked really great. Well, until I found out that he had been effing his coworker, that is. I don't have the details, I don't want the details, but he admitted it in the end, so he did it. That's enough. He wanted to work it out and apologize, begged for a second chance, but honestly, the idea that he said a word to me about an audiobook about Edward frickin' Cullen while he was getting strange on the side, it killed any opportunity for forgiveness I had inside of me. It was so ridiculous. I laugh thinking about it now, and it's been a month since we broke up. Like, it makes me feel insane it was so funny. He was yelling at me for listening to a book about Mormon vampires while he was cheating on me. I cannot make this crap up. 100 points to whoever said projection the first time I posted. I can't remember if it was a comment or a message, but you were right. I wish I had a cookie. Thanks for the help anyway. Even if the relationship is a bust now, I really do appreciate you all. Well, I gotta say, I'm kinda disappointed in myself right now because I should have seen that coming too. I've been reading these stories for years now and I couldn't see projection. Damn. Anyways, OP, I'm truly sorry that your ex-boyfriend sucked and you lost 3 years with an a-hole like that. So all that there's left is just wishing you the best in the future. Take care and thanks for sharing. Now, let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit of my chest, and it's by user Feisty Restaurant 918. I'm surprising my wife with a new wedding. I, 35 male, have been married to my wife, 34 female, since 2017. Our wedding was awful. So many things went wrong, it's embarrassing. The wedding was a mix of things her family wanted and what would be the cheapest option. Her family isn't religious, but they wanted her to have a very traditional wedding, church, priest, etc. The reason we allowed her parents to control it so much was because they threatened to not come if they didn't control it. This was a big deal to my wife because that would mean her younger brother wouldn't be allowed to come. Her brother is about 13 years younger than her. Not only was the ceremony awful, but the reception turned into a big fight with my mother and her mother getting into a yelling match. We didn't even get to go on a honeymoon because I had to go on a big work trip after the wedding and I was gone for a while after the wedding. But now that we are more established in our careers and have more money, plus she no longer talks to her parents after her brother moved out, I'm going to be proposing again. The ring I gave her was just a standard diamond that she barely wears because I didn't even size it correctly. I'm going to ask her to renew our wedding vows and we're going to have a wedding that she has dreamed of. I'm posting this here because both my friends and her friends would spill the secret as soon as I told it. Well, Opie, this is a wonderful idea, and if you can do it, then why not? It does sound like your wedding was kind of a nightmare, so this one would be a great do-over. Now, there's not much more commentary I can add to that, so how about we just move to the additional information from OP's comments to get a little bit more context. A big factor that played into the wedding being not as great was the cost. My wife and I live out in California while our family lives in the Midwest, and having to help provide the flights and where people were going to stay definitely didn't help. As much as I would want our family to be there for our second wedding, if she says yes to it, I think having one that is more about our friends and the family we've found since we've moved out here will be better. Obviously, we will discuss it. Also, as I mentioned in my post, my wife no longer speaks to her parents because my wife's mother and stepfather are awful. The way they treated her growing up and even into early adulthood was awful. As much as I would love to rub this in their face, I know that will just cause unnecessary tension. Luckily, the only person in her immediate family we contact is her brother. I'm very excited to do this for her. She has done so much for me. I want to pay it forward in the best way I can. I know a big part of why she doesn't wear her engagement ring is because of the size of the ring, but her tastes have definitely changed since getting married, so that is also a big part of why she doesn't wear it as much. I know she doesn't hate it, but I just want to give her something she'll love. I have a few ideas in mind, but I want it to be a surprise. I'm thinking of having her grandfather make the wedding band. He's an artist and has made her rings before. And when it comes to the ring with the gem and such, I'm still deciding on what to do. Now, we would probably keep the date. We ended up getting married on July 4th, which was the only thing we liked about the wedding, being able to see the fireworks. I tried really hard to pamper her because early in our relationship I wasn't able to. We recently just got back from a weekend getaway that we really needed. These last few months have been tough for her and I definitely have been trying to show more affection so she doesn't feel alone or anything. Well, OP, it's clear that you love your wife very much and that you are doing your best to make this whole new wedding be amazing for her. So how about we move on to the update to see how this story ends. Hi everyone, this is an update to the post I made a few days ago. This update came much sooner than intended, but I stopped beating around the bush. Thank you for all the sweet words and praise. Many people told me I was a great husband, and I truly appreciate that. I am far from the perfect husband, and our relationship got difficult during COVID. I don't want to go into too much detail, but we ended up having to see a couples therapist, and I ended up having to go to therapy by myself, which I am very grateful for. We are at a lot better place together, but we are still struggling with some issues. Now for the actual update. I ended up going to my wife and bringing this up to her. I asked her what she thought about me proposing again and possibly redoing the wedding. I told her we could redo the wedding and do it any way she wanted. She looked at me confused and asked why we would do that. I said we should redo the wedding because I knew our first wedding wasn't exactly what we wanted, and I knew she was disappointed in the ring she received. She looked even more confused and said that she loved the ring and wished she could wear it more, but recently she hasn't been able to. She also mentioned that she doesn't think it's the best time financial-wise to redo a wedding. I asked her what was stopping her from wearing the ring if she liked it so much. She avoided the question, but eventually told me the truth. Apparently, my wife and I are expecting our first baby together. She wanted to tell me on our recent weekend getaway, but we were always busy doing stuff she could never mention it, which is mainly my fault. We did a lot on our vacation. My wife and I have been trying for what seems like forever, and that's one of the reasons I took us on the vacation to begin with. We've had a lot of negative tests and even some miscarriages, but it seems that our family is going to be getting a little bigger. I know this isn't the update anyone wanted, but I just wanted to post this so people didn't badger about a new wedding update. Maybe eventually we'll have one. She did seem interested in doing a big friend get-together as an anniversary present or maybe even a party. But for the time being, my wife and I are going to focus on preparing for our new addition. Well, OP, I think this is even better news because it's something that both of you were hoping would happen. So here's wishing you and your wife that everything goes great and that your family continues to grow. Take care, OP, and thank you for sharing. Now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance and it's by user Blunt but not on purpose. Want all the documents? No problem. Many years ago, I did all kinds of admin work at an oil terminal. One of my jobs was to take care of the documents after vessels had been loaded. Bills of lading would usually have to be couriered to a bank, so I'd take care of that as well. Now, as I said, bills of lading had to be couriered to a bank, but that's not entirely true. Every time a vessel would come to load, we'd receive a documentation distribution matrix. Originals of document X to be sent to A, copies to B, C, and D. Originals of document Y to be sent to B, well, you get the gist. I would usually completely ignore this matrix. I knew exactly who needed what and I knew that the bank only cared about the B's and L's. So I'd just send them those and that was never a problem. That is, until someone new started at said bank and would complain about missing documents. Next time I added some more documents that I reckoned might be vaguely relevant, but again, they complained about missing documents. I'm still not sure why that was, only the B and L were relevant to them. But the next time a vessel had loaded, I was very happy to give them exactly what they wanted. The document distribution matrix was probably once drafted by someone who didn't know what they were doing, then ignored by everyone, so it never became a problem. In this case, however, I was going to need a bigger envelope. I followed the matrix to the letter. 1 original plus 4 copies? You got it! I was really happy because I'd spotted the fatal flaw. Some background first. For every chemical product, there is a Material Safety Data Sheet, MSDS. They contain all sorts of information regarding safety of the product, and over time, they've become monstrosities. So here's what made me happy. The matrix also mentioned 1 original and 4 copies of the MSDS. It was a 250 plus page document. There is absolutely no reason why the bank would even need 1 copy of the MSDS, but it was in the matrix and I'd been told to follow the matrix, so I did. I printed it 5 times, copied all other documents 4 times, and ended up with a stack of over 1,500 pages. And here's where my sadism kicked in. The 3 original bills of lading, the only documents I knew the bank actually needed, went randomly into the stack. The person on the other side would have to go through that entire stack to find those 3 pieces of paper they really needed. I heard nothing from them. The next time I had to send documents to the bank again, I reverted to what I'd always sent them. Again, silence. That's when I knew I'd won. From then on, all was back to normal. Well, apparently that person really wanted those documents and all those pages. Why not just go paperless? I'm sure I heard some trees crying in the corner. But they learned their lesson and now they're not bugging you anymore. So good on you, OP. Thanks for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.